LaMonica McGiver, she is back at it, and not a very good showing for the representative from New Jersey today, who is indicted and actually facing 17 years in the slammer. Yeah, in the slammer because, she did some kind of illegal things. In my estimation, these are allegations still, but I just want to jog your memory. LaMonica McGiver. I'm Trish Regan. Welcome to the Trish Regan Show. Okay, just so you know who we're talking about. LaMonica McGiver is facing 17 years in prison, and she decided to grandstand a little bit in the hearings today and kind of try and sock it to Kristi Noem. But you see, Kristi Noem actually has some class, and she totally outclassed the woman in spades. It was really, really remarkable. I want to play you all the sound because it's just tremendous to see. I want you to think about this. You had a lot of classless people there on the Hill today. I mean, they had protests, this, that, and the other. But, as Kristi was walking out, I think she was reminded why she's doing all this, because I want you to see this video of her. She's comforting an angel mom who lost her child due to one of the people here illegally that shouldn't have been here in this country. And so when you hear the nonsense behind Kristi, know that she's motivated for a reason. Watch.
There's nothing worse than someone who uses a baby as a political tool while taking babies away from the family. You cannot use a baby as a political tool while you take away the rights of families. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? You're holding a baby as a political tool. You're holding a child as separate children from their family.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Well, that was weird. Did you see that inverted shot? If you're listening on Spotify, thank you so much. If you're watching on Spotify, thank you so much. We are live every day right here on YouTube. And so sometimes some funny things happen with the camera. We just went backwards. But here's the deal. LaMonica McGiver is facing 17 years and somehow thinks that this is all directed against her, that DHS is trying to take her out. Listen.
To all of
Thank you, Secretary Noem. Do you agree that using DHS resources to target members of Congress is an abuse of power?
Excuse me, would you say that
You
again?
would have heard me if you stopped talking and listened to my questions. Do you agree that using DHS resources to target members of Congress is an abuse of power?
We are not doing that. We are out there enforcing the law, doing our work, and we are allowing oversight.
Of course, we're not going to get any answers. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. I now recognize the gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. McCree.
Okay, so she's like, I yield back. I want to show you the whole exchange because this woman is so brazen and so classless that this was her, I guess, worded version of what we saw out there in New Jersey with those DHS officers. She clearly hates the DHS because, well, we saw what she did. LaMonica, you showed your true stripes there in your red. I guess you decided to change colors today. Maybe trying to blend in a little bit more. Well, you know what? It's pretty easy to outclass a woman like LaMonica McGiver, who's probably going to wind up in jail. That indictment, interestingly enough, while you're looking at some dicey things with Letitia and Comey, LaMonica McGiver's indictment has stuck. So she's going to trial, and she's going to have to defend herself against what we all have seen. When I look at that, I mean, what do you think that is? Look, this is the slow version. And she's pushing. And then there's a big one. Whoa. You see that? Boom. I mean, the right hook, right? We've talked about that before. I mean, I love playing that video because I'm just so blown away. She's in red, the lady in red, going in. With the big right hook, taking them out, the DHS officers. And this is what she's trying to do with Kristi today in this exchange. But Kristi's not having it. Kristi's too classy for that. This woman is no match for our Ice Barbie, if you would. Kristi Noem, watch.
DHS into a political weapon. So I'll ask you this. Is Trump embarrassed by your tenure? Or is this exactly the kind of god-awful leadership he wants at DHS? Yes or no?
Ma'am, we've already conducted more oversight visits.
No. It's a yes or no. Yes or no. Okay, Secretary Noem, this is my time to talk, not your time to talk. I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time. Chair, I reclaim my time. Secretary Noem, DHS is breaking the law, hiding information from Congress and shutting out oversight. So let me ask you, how can the American people trust your department with you at the helm with this kind of behavior?
The American people absolutely trust this department to keep them safe. And we are showing that every day by the support we get across the country, the amount of people that we're recruiting to all of our different agencies.
Thank you, Secretary Noem. Do you agree that using DHS resources to target members of Congress is an abuse of power?
Excuse me, would you say that
You
again?
would have heard me if you stopped talking and listened to my questions. Do you agree that using DHS resources to target members of Congress is an abuse of power?
We are not doing that. We are out there enforcing the law, doing our work, and we are allowing oversight.
Of course, we're not going to get any answers. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentlelady yields.
What a lovely lady, huh? Just a lovely, lovely lady. You know, again, that was the verbal equivalent of this alleged assault. LaMonica, making New Jersey proud. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. You know, I just can't believe it. I can't believe that we have members of Congress like that. Okay, and she actually thinks she's in the right. She thinks that this is perfectly fine for her to do. No, it's not, LaMonica. And you know what? You are going to face 17 years. And I realize that the administration, and you know I blame Pam Bondi for this one. I cannot believe how badly they have screwed up on some of the indictments that they should have had coming their way. Easy breezy, right? On Comey and on Letitia James. Letitia James, we've already seen all the evidence. My gosh, if you can't get an indictment on that one, I don't know what to tell you. You need Alina Habba, I guess, back. But let me show you what just broke moments ago. And it's not very encouraging news, I know that. But I'm telling you, there's more that they need to go after. And I'm not kidding when I say they need to look at the terror financing alleged operation that was going through her jurisdiction. Because we're talking about an alleged $10 billion that was getting washed through New York on its way to Iran. Her team was notified, according to reports, about this twice and did absolutely nothing. Elise Stefanik is demanding some answers, and I'd like to see some answers from Pam Bondi on this one. That's an investigation to look into. But we have just gotten where the Justice Department allegedly has once again failed to re-indict New York attorney Letitia James, according to sources. This is coming via AP right now. So here's the deal. LaMonica, yours held, okay? You are indicted, and I don't know how you're going to get around that tape. Letitia, I think there's some other things they need to focus on, like that 5-story brownstone that you claim is for, and the alleged $10 billion. Did I say million earlier? $1 billion. You guys, I've been doing a lot on that story. I encourage you to look at last week's episodes if you want to know more, even Monday's episodes, because I covered it there as well. But Letitia James could find herself in a pretty difficult situation. I mean, it was either total negligence, right? It was something worse, God forbid. I'm guessing it was like incompetency, because she was so focused on going after Trump, right? That was her motto. She had to get Trump, that's why Letitia James was kind of asleep at the switch when it came to some important stuff. And if these allegations concerning Standard Chartered Bank are true, that's some really important stuff. Anyway, LaMonica's in for 15 years, possibly. We'll see what happens with one Letitia James. But it wasn't over there. I mean, Kristi Noem, she had some moments. In this case, she totally roasted this one Democrat who looks like a complete fool. I mean, this idiot decides he's going to grandstand. And again, she's just got this very calm demeanor, and she's calm, cool, and collected, and killing him with class all day long. Let's watch this mic drop of a moment right here from Kristi Noem and the congressman. Let me get his name. I mean, I'd never really seen him before. Give me a moment on the name. because he's not somebody. Oh, here we go. Representative Shri Threnadar, originally from India, speaking to DHS Secretary Noem.
I am sick of your lies. The American people are sick of these lies. American people demand truth.
America is very happy that finally they have a president in the White House that gets up every day to keep them safe.
Madam Secretary, your incompetence and your inability to truthfully carry out your duties of Secretary of Homeland Security, if you're not fired, will you resign?
Sir, I will consider your asking me to resign as an endorsement of my work. Thank you very much.
That is classic, okay? I like that one. It's pretty classic. I consider you telling me that I should resign as an endorsement of my work. Pretty good, pretty good. And you know what else is an endorsement of her work? The angel mom who was there to see her amid the protests.
A baby as a political tool while taking babies away from the family. You cannot use a baby as a political tool while you take away the rights of families. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? You are holding a baby as a political tool. You're holding a child as a separate children from their family. You're separating them. You are families. You should have shame.
I mean, and I want to say that it got worse from there because they started equating her with the Gestapo and the SS because they always go back to the well, right? We're going to go back to Nazi Germany because somehow Donald Trump is the equivalent of Hitler in their minds. I mean, this is really, really dangerous rhetoric, aggressive, horrific rhetoric. He does not deserve that. The country does not deserve that. History does not deserve that. The millions of Jews that were slaughtered don't deserve that. Our allies don't deserve that. And certainly anyone who lost anyone or had a loved one who fought in World War II doesn't deserve that, okay? So I realize you guys have absolutely no patriotism, but you guys got to get with the program and find a better line of argument, for goodness sakes. Don't keep going back to the well with the Nazi stuff. I'm over it. I remember a time, actually, when Democrats were all for deporting people who were not here legally. Guess what? You can't be here in this country if you don't come through the legal way, all right? That's just the rule. I realized that Biden decided to ignore the rules, and we all know why. Don't kid yourself. New York Times had a great story on this one. They were trying to get 800,000 new voters in the state of New York, just saying, okay, well, you're here. Even though you are not a citizen, somehow we want to sweep you into the system so that you can vote in the state of New York. And it had to go all the way up to the second appellate court, who said, no way, no how. This is not actually happening. So this was the motivation all along. Don't kid yourself. And they were successful in bringing a lot of people here, including a lot of people that shouldn't be here. They were also successful in creating new burdens for our economy in doing so, and for our school systems, and for medical care, which was a big issue that came up today as well. And I'm going to get to that because the concern is, once again, as we debate on Capitol Hill healthcare and how to make sure that Americans have access to healthcare, the GOP and Donald Trump want to make sure that it's not going to the illegals. And that, that should be kind of obvious. And I realize the Democrats say, oh, well, there's a law that prevents it from happening. Well, guess what? Hospitals that get the money from the states, they have to treat people that are there no matter what, right? It's part of the Hippocratic Oath. So, you don't have a choice. You're a doctor. You take an oath. You're going to make sure that you are going to treat everybody who comes in the door. And if the state has a ton of people that are there illegally and they need health care, then too bad, right? The state gets the money, the state dishes it out, and the hospitals keep giving the health care. So these protesters were there, and this was pretty gross. They were trying to use Christ and God as a way of trying to shame one Kristi Noem. I got to tell you, I'm going to hand it to her. I've never liked her so much as I liked her today. I've actually always liked her, but I will say that she was grace under pressure. Look at this. I would have lost it. I would have, my Irish would have gotten up. It gets up too easily sometimes, but I would have been like, you schmucks. And she was so graceful and did such a good job. Take a peek.
Introduce them to you.
Anti-deportation!
Disruptions of congressional business is a violation of law, is a criminal offense under federal law. Audience members are advised to take their seats and maintain order. The chairman may now ask Capitol Police to remove and arrest the persons creating the disturbance. Stop terrorizing our community.
Unbelievable. I mean, so they took the guy out. Bye. Sometimes you wonder, like, were these paid protesters? Because there's a whole racket in that. Don't forget, we've done that story too. So, she was up against a lot in terms of the protesters that were there and in terms of people like, LaMonica McGiver, who was like out for blood. She didn't have a red suit on today and she didn't get a chance to throw a right hook at her, but she was effectively trying to do that from a verbal position. And once again, Kristi Noem really proving that she had the upper hand in terms of total class move. I mean, look, you've got all of these people, whether it be the guy that we just heard from, whose name I have already forgotten. That's probably a good thing. I see some of your comments. You're like, who is this guy? I've never even heard of him before. I'd never heard of him before today either. Look, everybody's trying to grandstand and make a little name for themselves, but we're going to forget him because he's just not that relevant, other than to point out how they're all trying to go after her in a massive way and say, oh, you're not doing a very good job. Because what? She is doing her job. She's actually making sure that people are being deported. I mean, even MSNBC can't say she's not doing a good job. Even MSNBC has to admit that the Trump administration is successful in terms of setting out to get rid of people who were here illegally. And they believe on MSNBC that he's actually doing that better than anyone thus far, other than Obama, who got about the most. I think they're going to quote you somewhere around 400,000 out. She's already gotten 600,000 out. So that's a pretty big accomplishment. And she's doing it throughout the country, not just at the border. I'm going to let MSNBC of all places say it because they're actually pretty articulate, believe it or not, on this. I mean, when even MSNBC admits Kristi Noem is doing a good job, I'd say she knows how to get people out of the country. Ice Barbie, don't mess with her.
But I have to tell you, this is it is a remarkable accomplishment. These numbers are stunning to me. When I look at, let's say, 600,000 deportations this year, those are all from the interior. And I think this is a critical distinction. When you're doing immigration enforcement, you divide the world into the border and the interior. And during the Obama administration, when there were 400,000 deportations, the reality is about 250,000 of those were people caught right at the border. And it's not as impactful because those are people trying to get into the United States. This is all people in the interior. And everything we know about the data of the undocumented population inside the United States is that they've been here a long time. They've integrated with U.S. citizens. They have U.S. citizen children. So I just think that although the White House may be frustrated, she's coming up short of 1 million. 600,000 interior removals is unlike anything we have ever seen in the history of this country.
Woo! Unlike anything we've ever seen. You hear that? So, and I know Donald Trump wants everything done yesterday, and he wants 1 million, but we're getting there, right? Like, and I say this as somebody who actually believes in all the diversity and wonder that this country has to offer, and the American dream is so special, but this shouldn't be that hard. I mean, in the old days, meaning 10 years ago, before you had Donald Trump, this was a no-brainer. You didn't want people coming here illegally because you couldn't track them. You had issues with terror concerns, et cetera. You had issues with the drain on the system. Dianne Feinstein famously saying, back in the 80s, we don't want to be the welfare system for Mexico. Well, guess what? We still don't want to be the welfare system for Mexico. And guess what? We can't afford it, for goodness sakes. We absolutely can't. And this is what one Democrat, a congresswoman who decided to go on C-SPAN this morning, realized in an interview. A C-SPAN caller called in and he's like, hey, you know what? This isn't working out so well because you get illegals that are getting healthcare ahead of me and I'm like an American citizen who paid my dues. I don't understand. What do you guys do? And I'm telling you, she gaslit him. And I'm like, I can't believe this. They have politicized this stuff so badly. I want you to see this clip, again, from this morning on C-SPAN.
Let's talk to Dennis next in New York. Republican line. Go ahead, Dennis.
Yes, I'm a veteran collecting Medicare. I've been trying to get cholesterol and blood pressure medicine under the Biden administration since 2021 to 2024. and I always had a hard time getting a prescription refilled or anything else. It got to the point I actually went down to the office in Western New York Medical. The whole room was filled with illegal immigrants going in and out. I couldn't even get to the counter to get a refill on prescription cholesterol and blood pressure medicine. Anyhow, long story short, a month ago, I was rushed into the hospital with heart failure and that, and I get there, and for the last 6 months, I come to find out that I got kidney failure and congestive heart failure. Not one doctor from Western New York Medical called to notify me. They knew about this for over a year, and now here I am, and I listen to you Democrats saying that illegal immigrants weren't collecting Medicare and it wasn't hurting the American people. I'm dying right now because of them illegal immigrants getting in line before me, and our medical system and our healthcare system didn't even call to notify me to let me know about this a year ago. Do you have a response for your party and what they're doing to the American people?
Okay, so this is important. You know, he's obviously fed up. He's possibly dying. He wasn't able to get the health services that he needs. And this is the Democrat Congresswoman from Nevada about to tell him basically to go F himself, if you ask me. I mean, this is the worst answer I've ever heard.
Let me say I'm sorry for your health problems, and you should have gone to your member of Congress and asked him to help intervene.
Oh, yeah, it's your fault.
For you with Medicare, but Biden's gone, so let's talk about what you can do in the future. As far as blaming on the immigrants, U.S. law says that immigrants do not qualify for Medicare. So I don't know who was in front of you in line, but let's look at what caused your problem, see if we can help solve it now instead of just blaming other people.
Oh, I see. So you're a racist, Dennis in New York, if you dare to say, hey, you know, it's not fair that somebody who is here illegally is getting healthcare ahead of me. And this woman says, no, it's all in your imagination. That's not the case because illegals can't get healthcare. Well, they actually can if they go to a hospital because, again, as I explained, a hospital cannot turn you away. So this is, right? This is just so infuriating. Obamacare is a disaster on top of it all. You get all kinds of fraud going on. You know, you don't have to just worry about the illegals that are here. You got to worry about the people like, that might have somehow managed to get their citizenship, perhaps in dubious ways, as the president has alleged about one Ilhan Omar. But go out to Minnesota and you're going to see all kinds of other problems with any kind of state-run systems. And you had Mike Johnson explaining this one. Let's lay it out here. It's bad, guys, okay? There is a new government accountability report that is highlighting the massive, insane amounts of fraud in Obamacare. You'll wonder why there's so much inflation in the healthcare sector. It has a lot to do with anything government touch. Government usually ruins, and the fact that there's a ton of fraud on top of it all. I mean, what a mess. Watch.
A new report by the Government Accountability Office, which I haven't seen too much written about yet. You should look into that. It is an eye-opener as well. It makes clear why it would be a dereliction of duty to just extend subsidies without massive reforms to them. Okay, over the last 2 years, this is investigators at the Government Accountability Office. Okay, they submitted 24 fraudulent applications for the ACA subsidies, the Unaffordable Care Act subsidies, Obamacare. Okay. Of the 24 fraudulent applications that they created intentionally to just see what would happen, 23 of them were approved.
Whoa.
These applications were completely fraudulent. The investigators did not submit any Social Security numbers, citizenship documentation, or reported income documents. And 23 of the 24 applications were still approved. 18 of those, by the way, are still receiving coverages they were as of September of this year. That means the Obamacare exchange and insurers didn't verify any of the information they're supposed to under the law, and they proceeded to pay tens of thousands of dollars to insurance companies for people who do not exist.
Oh my gosh.
The GAO report also found that 29,000 Social Security numbers in 2023 and 68,000 in 2024 were used to receive more than 1 year's worth of insurance coverage. In other words, multiple people were utilizing the same Social Security numbers to openly defraud the American taxpayers. The GAO also found that more than $94 million was sent to insurers on behalf of dead people. Okay? This is the system that Democrats in Congress want to extend without reform. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really unbelievable and it's really unacceptable. And when Trump says, this is not going to work and we need to find a better way, he's not kidding. I mean, the reason they hate him so much is because he's the one who's willing to challenge it. I mean, think of the money at stake. Think of the insurance companies that are livid about this. They don't want anything changing, right? It's working out really well for them, and it's working out really well for the fraudsters. I mean, it's working out so well that Jasmine Crockett's hoping some of these people, I guess, contribute to her campaign because she's willing to lobby for them like nobody's business. She's out there saying, well, what's the matter? Just a little bit of fraud. I mean, you got to expect that. No, we don't have to expect that. You expect that in third world countries. You don't expect that in the United States of America, Jazzy.
And I do want to make sure that I cover one other thing that the chairman spoke about. He specifically said that he's concerned about the fraud. He's not giving us numbers, but I can give you some numbers. If we're concerned about how much money it may be costing us because systems are not perfect, we have no perfect systems. We have always had some level of fraud in anything that we have because there's no such thing as perfection walking on this earth.
So who cares, right? I mean, Jazzy's perfectly fine with a little fraud, maybe a lot of fraud. Hey, maybe she benefits from the fraud. I don't know. Maybe Ilhan Omar benefited from the fraud. I don't know. Maybe terror organizations in the Middle East benefited from the fraud. I think I do know. And we're going to get to that because the Treasury Secretary has launched an investigation just last week. And I'm here to tell you, it is very unlikely that they're not going to find some of that money being siphoned off by terror organizations because that's kind of the way it works with the Hawala system. It's how they transfer money in that community. And there's no way that you didn't have the ISIS arm of Somalia out there with their hand in the piggy bank, which is you and me, okay? U.S. taxpayers. And Jazzy Crockett, who wants to run for Senate in Texas. Good luck with that one. I mean, Mike Johnson's like, yay. He said today, I'll take that all day long. Exactly what I've said all along. Jazzy Crockett thinks it's totally fine to just have a little fraud because, it's something that we just have always dealt with. Why not have a little bit more? Unbelievable. This is the same team, by the way, that was trying to cancel half the country. Trying to take away your bank account, for goodness sakes. Remember when Janet Yellen wanted to get into everybody's bank account if they had more than $600 worth of transactions? Yeah, that was her shtick. She felt that was the way to find all the billionaires that were averting taxes. You're going to really find a lot of billionaires going looking for nickels and dimes and all those $600 accounts, right? Janet Yellen? Well, under previous administrations, you had vague, outdated policies and pressure from politically motivated regulators, which were leading to a lot of the closures of American bank accounts. I mean, this happened to Devin Nunes. It happened to Eric Trump. Happened to a lot of people I know, actually. It's sort of outrageous. And it's because you had all these regulators that were getting pressure from politicians, Democrat politicians, the likes of, Jazzy Crockett, et cetera. I don't know if she specifically was involved, but certainly the Elizabeth Warrens of the world, they're there saying, you got to shut them down. You got to shut them down. You got to cut off their access to capital because they supported Donald Trump. Disgusting, okay? Disgusting behavior. And the president is doing what he can to make sure that doesn't happen again with his executive order, but we need something more. We need something that's going to ensure fair access to banking for Americans nationwide, and that's what Americans for Free Market is trying to do. Free markets, I should say. And they're certainly thanking President Trump right now for all of his efforts. I want to put their URL up on the screen because you can learn more if you go to For Free Markets, forfreemarkets.org. This is really interesting. I'm very happy to partner with them, and I appreciate all their support here on the Trish Regan Show, helping me to bring you this show because what they're doing is a really good thing, and we need this. Congress should be working with the administration to fix outdated laws and to increase transparency and accountability so that you don't have people, because of their political affiliation, their party, getting canceled. And that's what they're chomping at the bit to do. I mean, look at what Letitia James did. I'm shocked. And don't get me started on Pam Bondi, for goodness sakes. I don't know how they're screwing up on that one so bad. They had all the evidence, whatever. Anyway, lawmakers really need to establish a national standard prohibiting any financial institution from denying services based on politics or religion. Americans for Free Markets is calling on Congress to advance these critical reforms and to strengthen President Trump's leadership on fair access to financial services. I want you to join the effort with me. We are very thankful for their sponsorship. I love what they're doing. I'm thrilled to partner with them. forfreemarkets.com. You think about all the fraud, though. I mean, who's a better poster child for fraud right now than, well, I'll expand. We don't need to put it all on her, right? Her district. The 5th District of Minnesota, which belongs to Ilhan Omar, because of course they voted her in because it's a very heavy Somalian population that came into that area, and actually they were able to immigrate legally. I think that's changing as we speak pretty drastically, and some of them would really question the legality of it. There's a new report in the Daily Mail saying that Ilhan Omar actually married her brother, and that's how she was able to establish a way for him to be able to be educated in the United States. So she was married once, she had some kids with one guy, she goes out and she marries this other guy who allegedly is her brother, again, per the Daily Mail report, per the President of the United States. Apparently the FBI is doing an investigation, but this is unbelievable. So then she's still having kids with the first husband while married to this guy who went and I guess attended University of Nevada, probably on our dime, right? Because that's how things roll, and fraud is just okay. I mean, if you listen to Jazzy, fraud is fine. Fraud is just part of the system and you have to accept it. I don't think so. I don't think so. But Tim Walz didn't care. Ilhan Omar certainly didn't care. In fact, there were whistleblowers, according to this state representative in Minnesota, that went and told Tim Walz all about it. Listen.
The whistleblowers that I've spoken to are saying that the governor knew, and the governor and lieutenant governor and even Chris Schmitter, who was his chief of staff, came to them as staff and scolded them for pointing out fraud.
Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar told CNN this week she believes the fraud spiraled out of control because COVID programs were rolled out without sufficient guardrails. It's also worth noting the owner of the restaurant where Omar held her 2018 victory party is among those from the Somali community who have been convicted of profiting from the schemes.
Wow. Right? Yeah. Wow, indeed. Wowee, wowee. And it's why this whole thing with little Timmy, Tim Pontim, as some would like to call him, and the flag incident, it all makes sense, right? You guys have seen this. I've shared this before, but just remember, because now it sort of crystallizes what's going on. You know, he really was indebted to the Somali community. He changed the flag in Minnesota. They decided to put one in that, if you ask me, kind of is on the Somalian motif, because it's blue, similar color blue. Well, this one's 2 color blues, and it's got that star, just like they have in Somalia too. Look at him. He's so happy. Did you hear him yesterday? I played you that sound, but I don't need to bore you with it again. I think we're going to put it on the shorts feed, though. He was talking about how masculine he is. This masculinity thing, like the Republicans are afraid of him because he's so masculine. Yeah. All right. You go with that. You know, you do you. You believe what you want to believe. I'll tell you this. You got a big problem in Minnesota right now because the Treasury Department is now looking into allegations of money going to terrorists, whether directly or indirectly. This is a concern, and it's something that Scott Bessent highlighted on CBS over the weekend. Watch.
This week to look into Somalis who, quote, ripped off that state for billions of dollars. He said they contribute nothing. What exactly are you investigating?
Well, Margaret, to be clear, the initial fraud that was discovered by the IRS, for which I'm the acting commissioner, is discovered by IRS Criminal Investigations Unit. This was not an endogenous thing that the state of Minnesota decided we had to go in and clean up the mess for them, and this is part of the continued cleanup. A lot of money has been transferred from the individuals who committed this fraud, including those who donated to the governor, donated to Representative Omar, and donated to A.G. Ellison. But they've been transferred to something called MBSs. And those are...
Mortgage-backed security? What do you mean?
Sorry?
Transferred to what?
These are money the Bureau services, and they are wire transfer organizations that are outside the regulated banking system. And that money has gone overseas And we are tracking that both to the Middle East and to Somalia to see what the uses of that have been.
Okay, but you have no evidence of that money being used to fuel terrorism at this point, which is what some conservative writers are alleging.
That's why it's an investigation. We started it last week. We'll see where it goes. But I can tell you that, it's terrible. Representative Omar tried to downplay it, said, it was very, it was very tough to know how this money should be used. Yeah. She was gaslighting the American people.
Well, we'll talk to her.
Yeah, but when you come to this country, you got to learn which side of the road to drive on. You got to learn to stop at stop signs, and you got to learn not to defraud the American people.
Bingo. Okay, Jasmine Crockett, did you hear that? You don't say, well, a little fraud never hurt anyone. No, you can't have any fraud in the system. It's actually what used to make the United States really pretty great. Because you go to any country in any banana republic and you see all kinds of fraud. And so it's really important that we not have that. But more importantly now, you've got Treasury launching this probe into terror funding that may have come from U.S. taxpayers because you had everybody getting swindled there in the state of Minnesota from these fraudsters with a direct connection to Ilhan Omar, direct connection to Ilhan Omar. And Ilhan is trying to say, no, there's no possible way that could have happened. And I'm here to tell you, and Margaret should know better because I know that we used to share an office or a cube area over at CNBC. I know that she has a background in Middle Eastern studies. And she should know better too because they have a system called Hawala. And guess what? The terror organizations are there with their hand out. They're taking their percentage no matter what. So even if someone's not deliberately doing it, it's going there. Ilhan knows this. Margaret knows this, and yet they're saying this.
I want to pick up on where the Treasury Secretary just left off. He alleged that people who were tied to you or your campaign were involved in this broad, brazen scheme to rip off the Minnesota state welfare system. Do you want to respond to that? Do you know what he is referring to?
I really don't, and I don't think the secretary himself understands what he's referring to.
Yeah, he knows what he's referring to, and you do know what he's referring to. And for you to say something like that, was this like trying to borrow from the Trump playbook when Biden didn't know what he was talking about with healthcare costs? You know darn well what everyone's talking about, and so does the reporter that's interviewing you.
He obviously had people who were able to donate to our campaign that were involved. We sent that money back a couple years ago. And actually, I was one of the first members of Congress to send a letter to the Secretary of Ag asking them to look into what I thought was a reprehensible fraud that was occurring within the program.
So that's what gets you off the hook? You were one of the first to let everybody know about it? Ilhan Omar? I don't buy it. I think you know you're in big trouble. I think you knew you were going to be in big trouble and you were sort of trying to race to get something done ahead of time, right? That's how this thing went down because all these people that were associated with your campaign, that were quote unquote, donors to your campaign, apparently not like tons and tons of money, but I got my suspicions in terms of what really was going on and how they really were making money in other kinds of ways. I think that you've got some real things that you need to probe there. And yet the mainstream media is trying to pretend like this never, ever, ever even happened. Like somehow, Margaret is acting all shocked and saying to the Treasury Secretary, oh, no, well, we're going to check with her on that. And then she gives her a free pass to say, oh, there's no possible way that this ever happened. And I'm here to say, yeah, I think there is. And then you've got other members of the media that are out there trying to allege something else, or not allege, I should say, because they're also refusing to believe that Ilhan Omar could have had any connection whatsoever, despite the fact that we've seen the photos, okay? We've seen the photos of her and her former campaign staffer. She's got a staffer, for goodness sakes. A staffer who's convicted, okay? He was tried and convicted. Something like $3 million in fraud. So one of her staffers is a fraudster, and yet you get the idiots over on CNN. I really mean, this is such a terrible network. It's such a terrible network. Thank goodness you're not watching it. Let me just clip a highlight, though, for you, because you ought to know the craziness that they're spouting. Take a look. They don't think Ilhan could have possibly had anything to do with any of these people. Watch.
Isn't the American project supposed to be about treating people as individuals, not as representatives of where they came from, about who their parents were or whatever, but about who they are and what they can individually contribute to this country? However, what Trump is doing there is basically saying you are worthless if you come from a part of the world that he doesn't think has value. Is that really what we're doing in the United States of America?
That's not true in America. That's
no,
not true.
we in America, we do treat people as individuals and appreciate them as individuals. It's one of the greatest things about this country. On the other hand, and I am no fan of Ilhan Omar, and she is in a lot of deep doo-doo now because she is very tangled in this billion-dollar Somali Medicaid fraud scandal in Minneapolis, and she may be touched by this. And of course,
I haven't seen any evidence of her
well,
being connected to it.
Woohoo! You haven't seen any evidence? Hey, what about the guy that worked for her, the campaign staffer, who was convicted? What about the guy who decided to host her big gala, right, for when she won her office? Oh, he hosted it. She went to his restaurant. He also has been convicted. I mean, come on, CNN, get with it.
Let me tell you why the check and balance. Let me tell you why
Abby,
this.
there is evidence.
This kind of rhetoric doesn't matter because the economy.
I'll say this. We can't have any tolerance for any of this. And it gets worse. Okay, it gets worse. So someone who works for the government who specializes in looking at terror threats in the U.S. made a massive allegation today, a massive allegation that some 18,000 people that were brought in during the Biden years are believed to be known terrorists. I mean, I can't even believe this. I don't even want to have to say it. I'm going to let him say it because this is actually kind of frightening. And this is what happens, right? If you don't have a DHS, it's keeping track of things. If you just say, come one, come all, I mean, heck, you're going to get anyone. Absolutely anyone. Watch.
We've made significant progress under President Trump's leadership. We have the jihadis of ISIS and al-Qaeda on the run in Iraq and Syria, thanks to the decisive action and the strikes that we've taken there recently since President Trump took office in January. However, we have a persistent threat from the individuals that were allowed into this country by the previous administration. The number one threat that we have right now, in my view, is the fact that we don't know who came into our country in the last 4 years of Biden's open borders. What we have identified is alarming, and I want to share that with you today. We just recently put out a warning of the heightened risk of terrorist attacks posed to the homeland by terrorists pretty much of all stripes, but in particular from ISIS and from al-Qaeda. NCTC has been crunching the numbers and going through the sheer volume of known and suspected terrorists that are in the country that came in under the Biden administration. So far, NCTC has identified around 18,000 known and suspected terrorists that the Biden administration let come into our country. These are individuals who under normal circumstances would never be allowed to enter our country because of their ties to jihadi groups like ISIS and al-Qaeda. Yet the Biden administration not only let them into the country, and in many cases facilitated their entry into the country, just like the entry of the Afghan terrorists who committed the terrorist attack here just before.
So now they're worried about all these threats. And everyone's like, oh, you know, this is racist of you to be getting these people out of the country. I'm sorry. This is really messed up. It's really, really messed up. You know, Donald Trump doubling down on the allegations that Ilhan Omar married her brother. This would come with 5 years in prison, $250,000 fine. He apparently isn't letting up, nor is the Daily Mail. They have another story on this today. Let's listen to the president.
I want to see people that contribute. I don't want to see Somalia. I don't want to see a woman that, you know, marries her brother to get in and then becomes a congressman, does nothing but complain. All she does is complain, and yet her country's a mess. You know, it's one of the worst in the world. Let her go back, fix up her own country. Somalia, yeah, and I was right about it. You know, I started complaining about Somalia long before the scandal. The horrible the horrible things they're doing to Minnesota, it's incredible. They have an incompetent governor there, too. The Democrats are running some bad ships.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, so the whole, and we did this on the show the other day, so you can watch part of this, but the concern is that she basically was out there trying to marry the brother because he needed some education opportunity that could be provided in the US of A, and so they got married. This is allegedly him, and apparently there's no real records because they came from war-torn Somalia. She was married to another guy though, and had kids with the other guy, and then she's got this one, but then she had another kid with the other guy, so it gets really, she's playing the field, shall we say. He winds up, after getting his education, leaving for London, and once she's officially divorced from him, she takes up with, there's a whole timeline, we did this the other day, another Timmy, out of Minnesota. What do you know? They get a lot of Tims in Minnesota. It's Tim Minot. His wife filed for divorce in August 19 because, he apparently was so in love with Ilhan Omar and told her that, she had to end it. I don't even know what to say. Yeah. Anyway, so Timmy Minot, here he is. He's meanwhile making big bucks. Big bucks off of Ilhan's campaign because he also works as her campaign manager, and he's making millions on that one. And then the day they announced their marriage, what do you know? This I find suspicious. They introduce the very bill, HR 6187. He's a political consultant, by the way, so he calls himself a VC guy. He's not an investor. He is a political consultant if you look at his website. They introduced this, and then this is the thing that enables her district to make off with hundreds of millions of dollars fraudulently. Whoa, okay. I mean, I don't know what, they deserve each other, for goodness sakes, the two of them. I mean, she gets around for somebody who is supposed to be very religious, right? Wears the whole thing, she's on hubby number 3. Weird. Very, very weird. Weird people. Anyway, I digress. I mean, Donald Trump is all over this. He's calling it out. He's making a big stink about it. And you know what? When he's like a dog with a bone, right? Like a dog with a bone, and he's not giving up. Well, part of not giving up is also recognizing what we need to do on the healthcare front. Now, there was a big healthcare vote going on today, and it looks like, as they debate these Obamacare subsidies, they are on a fast track to nowhere. And that's a very good thing, right? That's a very, very good thing, given of the fraud that we heard from Mike Johnson just moments ago. And it's a good thing because it's really not putting the money in the hands of the people. You want the people to have the money, not the institutions, not the fraudsters, for goodness sakes. I sat down moments ago with Kent Strang from Americans for Prosperity. You can go check them out, americansforprosperity.com. And he had some really fascinating things to say. I want to go to that. Bringing it into the conversation, my friend Kent Strang from Americans for Prosperity. Kent, good to see you as always. Wow, we got a lot going on Capitol Hill today. As we speak, we're looking at a vote that's going down now for Obamacare. Like, I don't even want to have to say it. But, hasn't everybody figured out by now that this was a load of you-know-what?
Obamacare has been an absolute disaster. The ill-fated name, the Affordable Care Act, has done anything but make healthcare affordable. And what we're seeing today is the showdown over these COVID-era subsidies that were meant to be temporary, not permanent. So we're going to see 2 votes today. One is Chuck Schumer's political show vote. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to force a vote on a 3-year extension of these subsidies. And let's remember that these subsidies are fraught with waste, fraud, and abuse. There are people who are phantom being signed up on these programs. They don't even know they have the health insurance. It's all going to big insurance. And it's an absolute bad deal for the American people to expand this. And then on the other side of this, we're seeing a healthcare vote that comes from Republican senators that is going to expand health savings accounts and put that money not in big insurance companies' hands, but put that in individuals' hands. Typically, those have been for only high deductible plans, and they're going to expand that so more people have access over health savings accounts.
Okay, tell me a little bit more about those, because, I like this. And by the way, I'm not the only one. The president actually came out, was it last night or the night before? They're all kind of blurring together after a while. And he said he had a lot of enthusiasm for that because, again, anytime you can get the money back in the hands of the people, I mean, you look at what went down in Minnesota, for goodness sakes. You're talking about possibly the largest government fraud in history of any welfare system. At least $1 billion. They're talking about potentially up to $8 billion in fraud. I'm sorry. It's like the New Hampshire live free or die in me. I don't like the idea of big bloated government budgets. I don't like the idea of the government having more say over my healthcare. When you talk about giving the money back, I think it's fantastic. And then you would have a catastrophic insurance plan as well, so that everybody would be covered in the event something really bad happens.
That's absolutely right. So when you go into the Obamacare marketplace, you pick your own insurance plans, and those catastrophic options are always an option. But the idea is that rather than just for the super high deductible rates, you can get a health savings account. And so what does that do? It really does drive down cost. And to your point, whether it's President Trump or Republicans, or just free market individuals believe that individuals can do so much better with their own money rather than sending it to an insurance company, which I don't know about you, I typically don't have great experiences with. And so you can use that money, which comes with the tax savings, and it lowers your costs. You can use it on qualified expenditures to lower your healthcare premiums. And sometimes, I have a number of friends who have negotiated their own rate using their HSAs with hospitals and doctors and gotten a lower rate rather than submitting it through their insurance company.
So what is the real reason for all the inflation in the Obamacare nonsense? Why did it get so bad? Is it just lack of competition? I'm sort of curious.
Well, what happens when you make government the dominant force? There's less competition. And rather than other insurances where, like life insurance or car insurance that we see commercial on television every 10 seconds, there's very little competition in healthcare. And so rather than taking the government one size fits all approach that's a top-down system, we need more competition to drive down price. And we're just not seeing that when you make government programs. And so folks like AOC and Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and the like, they want a one size fits all Medicare for all style plan where we all live under government insurance. We know that doesn't work. If you want proof that it doesn't work, look at our friends that are our veterans and look at how the VA has handled healthcare. Is that what we want? Is that where we want to go to? I don't think so. Let's open up the free market, give more people choice, give more people personal options in healthcare rather than one size broken government fits all.
The other thing I would just point out, and you and I have talked about this in the past, but the viewers should hear it. They're turning into these conglomerates, like monopolies in and of themselves, right? Where you have, every little hospital's buying up every other hospital and every center. And before you know it, they get pricing power that way as well. And then the money's coming straight from the government. It's like the spigot's open, and no wonder you get all this inflation.
Absolutely. And it's the same thing with the subsidies. When you're just doling out more and more money, well, what are they going to do? There's no competition. They're going to raise costs. And that's why it's become so unaffordable. And yes, those big conglomerates are gobbling up the little guys. There aren't as many little guys there to compete. We need to reform our healthcare system. And hopefully the Senate will pick up this bill that Republicans have proposed, pass it into law, and provide more options and more freedom for Americans in their healthcare.
It would be great. It would be great. I want to talk to you something else. It's really, really important. We're looking at gas prices nationwide coming down below $3. This is a big deal. Okay, and everybody's going to, I'm paying more where I am out in California. Well, I'm sorry, I'm living in California. You got to look at Gavin Newsom for that one because they get so many darn taxes on top of whatever the national average would be. But, the good news is, yes, energy prices are coming down. And I think a big part of that is the president's push to drill, baby, drill. But there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, also being voted on today. Walk us through the plan to basically open up America's energy infrastructure.
We've talked about it so many times before, how important permitting is in unleashing American energy. And we all know that we want lower electricity rates. We want lower gas prices. We want energy that can fund the AI revolution that's coming. Well, how do we do that? Right now, we have a really difficult time building anything in America. And the red tape and the bureaucracy takes years to get through in some cases, and it takes longer to get a permit than it takes to actually build the thing that we're trying to deliver. And so we saw that with the Biden administration, where they wanted to put all kinds of rules and regulations and red tape and stop things from being built. What President Trump and Republicans are doing right now is they're going that opposite direction, because they know how important energy is for Americans and for our livelihood and for our prosperity. And so there are a couple bills that are taking place today. One is an LNG expansion, and that's liquid natural gas, which can deliver affordable energy. Another is the Permit Act. And then next week, we're going to see something called the Speed Act. And not to get into all the different things that they're going to do, but what are they really aimed at? They're aimed at eliminating useless red tape. They're making sure that our legal system doesn't kill these programs before they can get started. And they're making it easier for us to be able to go drive affordable American energy and projects that we need, shovel-ready projects for more jobs and more energy. And so that's what we're after. And
we're going to need it. We're going to need it. Disney just announced it's a big deal with ChatGPT. They're going to license those characters to Sora. The world is changing, right? You think about all the energy that's going to be needed. You're going to be able to make your own movie pretty soon. I mean, it's just incredible, like all these changes. And I know people get nervous about it and they want to fight it and this, that, and the other. And it's a real viewpoint. I understand. But look, the investor in me and the business journalist in me still looks at reality. And to me, you want to be part of this, which means you need the energy infrastructure to be part of this in the future. The world is changing. It's changing fast. And we need to be out in front, not let China dominate. But this is a big part of it, making sure that we have the energy resources right here at home, right? I don't want to be dependent on anybody else. Thank you very much. Right here at home, Kent. And this would go a long ways, wouldn't it, towards making sure that we have the infrastructure here in our jurisdiction to be able to provide for this future.
100% right. I mean, I don't want to just restate it for you, because you're right on the money. Look, if we want to compete with China in the AI race, because whether we like it or not, it's coming and it requires energy. But also, I think about the average American family. Look, under the Biden plan, electricity rates went up 20%. Home heating oil went up 70%. We all remember those awful gas prices of over $5 a gallon. Look, we have to go the opposite direction, not only to deliver on AI, but let's help American families lower their costs. And the way to do it is to unleash permitting reform. We got to cut back that red tape, make it easier for us to get on these resources.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, Americans for Prosperity, that's where they need to go to get involved, right? Because, hey, everybody can make a difference in this. And it's not, hey, if you want to give some money to Americans for Prosperity, be my guest. But it's more than that, isn't it, Kent? Because you guys have one of the largest grassroots efforts around, and people can just, get out there, knock on doors, do what you can, harass your members of Congress, call them up, sign a letter, whatever you can to kind of get them off their rocker and do something about these really important things that are mattering so much to America.
Our country is amazing, and it's worth fighting for. Definitely get off the sidelines, call your member of Congress, encourage them to unleash American energy, encourage them to reform healthcare. Let's get off the sidelines. Let's save America. Visit us at americansforprosperity.org.
Thank you so much. Kent, it's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me.
Merry Christmas. I always love having Kent on the program. Anyway, the good news is those Obamacare subsidies, they're over before they started, right? That's why the government was shut down for so long. You heard me mention Disney. Of course, that's a stock that we follow at 76 Research. I want to encourage you guys to go and get my newsletter with my financial research company that I started with a very dear friend. Really good stuff in there. And hopefully you're investing for your future. I know it's hard and, times are tough and money's tight, but you dollar cost average. That's what I'll say. Dollar cost average into that market. What have I been saying since it became clear Donald Trump was going to win the presidency? I said there was going to be a lot of good stuff ahead. We're looking at a market in S&P that's up roughly 13% since he came in. So there's a lot to be excited about right now. We just, by the way, launched. If you go there, use code word dollar. Then you get it for $1 a month. It goes to $9.95 thereafter. But it's two newsletters in one, because we just introduced what we're calling the Mag 7 report, because the Mag 7, those are the important stocks, right? They almost kind of consume the stock market right now. Really, really important to follow. So they have their own special report in addition to the 76 report. So a twofer, if you would, this holiday season. It's a great gift as well. A great, great gift to give to mom or dad or one of your kids that you really want to get involved with investing. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being such a loyal audience and here on the show. I know everybody has other things to do, right? Everybody's out Christmas shopping, and I got to do some Christmas stuff tonight. I'm all dressed for the season, right, with my sparkles and everything. But I love that you're here, and I love your enthusiasm and your loyalty. I want to just tell you, it really does mean a lot. And I know that peace of my mind. Thank you so much. You're so appreciated. You're here every day. I don't know how you do it. You must really have the bell. Guys, if you go and you subscribe to my channel, make sure you hit the bell for everything so that you really know when I'm here live, because sometimes the algorithm doesn't always send it. If you don't come like every day to see the live, sometimes it's harder to see it. I'm working on another newsletter though that would be just for this show. And then once I get to that, then you'll always know. You'll have it in your inbox to know exactly when I'm going to be live each and every day. Who turned out the lights is saying you're leaving the internet for a week. Oh no! Well, don't leave this. Don't leave this show. Anyway, I love you guys too. Unc Andy 47. Believe me, I love you all. You have made this possible. It is tremendous. If you haven't gone and seen my Spotify channel, please do that. There's a little bit of a lag because we are live. We are live on YouTube, but we are also there on Spotify. And hey, I need all the support and help I can get. We only have 16,000 followers there, but it's 16,000 more than I had 6 months ago. So how do you like that? I'd love to see you there too. And I see all the comments as well. I do see the comments, guys, so make sure you leave one down below if you're not in the live chat. I do look at them every night. So even though I may not always respond, please know that there's a set of eyes on them, and they're not the producers. They are mine. I look at them because I want to know what you're thinking and how you're feeling about all of this news right now. I'm bummed about Letitia James too. And I've already given my piece of my mind on Pam. We'll save it for tomorrow because I have more to say on that. But I think we really need to rally and we need to stick together. And we got midterms coming up, and there's a lot that needs to get fixed. Thank you for being here. I'll see you tomorrow.